Welcome back, everyone, to episode 125 of the Popcorn Podcast. I'm Tommy. That's Ryan. And today, our guest is coming off one of the biggest shows of 2023, The Fall of the House of Usher. You may know him for his role as Oscar Finley in Reacher, or Detective Clive Babineau in iZombie, or even the rat Jimmy Z in American Gangster. Welcome to the show, Malcolm Goodwin.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? I'm telling you, man, speaking of rat, I cannot walk through Harlem, New York. People thought that was like a documentary. I walked through Harlem. They're like, yo, that's the rat. That's the dude who ran on Frank Lucas. I'm like, it's a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, I fell in love with your work watching Reacher, a show that I've told every single person when I see them, like, you have to watch Reacher. You have to watch Reacher. You have to watch Reacher. I mean,
thank you, man. Thank you.
And then Fall of the House of Usher. It was my number 2 show of the year. I thought it was absolutely incredible. And I mean, it had to be incredible getting to work with Mike Flanagan, that entire cast.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, that came to fruition because of one of my best friends, Raul Coley from iZombie. And he sent me a text one day. He was just like, dude, I threw your name in the mix for this. There's a role in Fall of the House of Usher. I threw your name in the mix that, and hopefully maybe it'll work out or whatever. And then literally a few months later, I get the call from Mike and it happened. And to work with him and with his writing, the filmmaking, just the entire experience, dude, was just unreal. Working with Carl Lumbly was just amazing. And just developing that character alongside with him, it felt like theater. It felt like theater, so it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so as I said before we started recording, we have some questions from just between me and Ryan. Then we have some questions from the fans of the show. And okay. I have to say, before I really get into questions, you're in a show from a while ago that I was a huge fan of as a kid, and that was Wayward Pines. You played Bauer.
Oh, yeah.
I was so excited when I was like going through everything. I was like, oh, like I knew all like the big things. You're probably iZombie, Reacher. Right. And I was like, oh my God, Wayward Pines. I was all excited. And I have to ask, how was it getting to reunite with Carla, who you did Wayward Pines with, and then end up way down the line getting to be in Fall of the House of Usher with?
Wow, man, I've never been asked this question. Bravo to you. This is a brand new one, man. That was Wayward Pines was special to me, man, because I was a big M. Night Shyamalan fan. A big fan, In college, I remember watching all of his stuff on the Netflix DVDs and watching the special features. And he has like his independent films. I mean, his films when he was a kid up there, so you can watch it. And he just brings you into his process of filmmaking. So when I book Wayward Pines, I'm excited to meet him. And so when I see him, I'm like, I just need 60 seconds to just fanboy real hard so I could be regular. And I pretty much told him what I told you guys about, watching all of his stuff, adapting his process into my filmmaking process. And, got on set and it was what I expected. Everything is set up. Everything is already blocked the way he prepares. And just to be a part of that, man, was crazy. And it was an opportunity for me to be a part of, I think the character was supposed to recur, but then I got iZombie, and I had a choice between doing iZombie or recurring on Wayward Pines. So obviously I picked iZombie because it's a series regular. And I did see Carla when I was filming, and I never met her on American Gangster. I never met her on American Gangster. I had never. So but we knew of each other, and so we talked on Wayward Pines, and then to see her again on Fall of the House of Usher was just like, yeah, dude, it just felt like full circle.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I completely just forgot when I asked that question. I forgot Carla was even in American Gangster. Now I feel horrible.
Oh yeah. Oh, you meant reuniting from Fall of the House of. Oh yes. Yeah. I knew her. Yeah. Well, like I said, we didn't meet, but I got to watch her do scenes in American Gangster. And I was so brand new with America. I was so intimidated with that movie. I got Denzel, Russell Crowe, all these big, Ruby D, and so I sat there in the corner. I was like, I am not speaking unless spoken to.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you're doing Fall of the House of Usher. What was that like, kind of, creating that character with somebody else instead of just doing it yourself with Carl Lumbly?
I tell you, man, Mike, what he did was, and never experienced this before, but what he did was he gave me Carl's dailies so I could see what they're doing. They started filming January of 2022, and the 70s didn't start shooting until May. May. So I got a chance to watch all of Carl's stuff because I'm like, I have to reverse engineer what he's doing. I just can't kind of go in there, well, how I'm going to do my thing. I'm like, he's establishing the character. I live in the flashback, so I have to reverse engineer his work. So Carl and I had set up a meeting to talk for about 15 minutes, and that 15-minute conversation lasted for almost, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours. And we were on the same page with exactly the backstory and what we wanted to put forward with this character. And like I said, it was one of those things where it felt like we was doing theater. Like it was so immersive. And sometimes you don't have that kind of time in film and TV to have that kind of time to develop a character with that much detail. So by the time I got on set, I felt like I had the soul of Dupin. We wanted to have the same soul. You wanted to feel like that's the same soul. And Carl was way bigger than me too. Carl's like 6'3". I'm 5'9". Carl's a big dude. But we were like, we're gonna make it. But if the soul matches, people won't know it's film and TV. So it's but it was magical. It was magical. It kind of made me want to go back there. I'm like, you know what? I think I may have to go back and do a play now. And from my thing, I did so much theater in New York. I got kind of burnt out, and I just focused on film and TV for so long. But it brought back that love for doing theater again. Working on For the House of Usher.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put you in a time machine right now.
Okay.
Going back to 1997, I have to ask you, how did it feel for being on the set for the first time for The Color of Justice as your role as Sean?
Man, wow, dude. That was... Listen, when I got colored, I was green. I was Green Goblin green. I thought they was lying to me that I got this role. And I remember, it was kind of I remember it being like an open call audition for that movie. And I was working at a bus company, and I was more into my music at that particular point. I went to high school for theater, but I wasn't really serious about it. I was more focusing on writing, and then I fell in love with music. And then whenever I felt like was having a down day, I would just buy the Backstage magazine and then audition for what's there. And Color of Justice was one of those projects. You're talking about back in the day, it was like you got 25 callbacks for roles. So I remember going back, I think no lie, 25 times. And I remember not getting it was like three boys at first, and I didn't book it. And then I get a call from the director. It was like, we loved you so much, we made it 4 boys that are now in trouble. So they created this role that wasn't there before. I was like, oh my God, that's great. It was like, we're going to have a car pick you up. It was like my first time on a plane flying to, going to Toronto. And I'm sitting there I remember my dad, it was my friends. We thought they were lying. I'm like, y'all lying. You're playing with my feelings. You're playing with my emotions. This is a terrible prank. And so I remember going there, getting on a plane for the first time. It was first class. I was like, why am I in the front? I was nervous about being on the plane, but now I'm in the front. I'm like, what's going on? So and then I get to Toronto, and I see the director, Jeremy Kagan, and I looked at him, I'm like, is this real? And he goes, this is real. And I remember giving him a big hug. And I remember being dead broke. The only thing I brought a book bag with a pair of underwear. This is for a 3-month shoot. I have a book bag. I have a sweatsuit, one pair of underwear, and that's it. And I'm sitting there well, I only got one change of clothing, and then that's when I was introduced to per diem. And per diem became my new term. It became my new best friend. And but yeah, it was 3 months of filming that, and just to learn from Gregory Hines, Bruce Davison, F. Murray Abraham, Dulé Hill's in there too, and I learned a lot. It was my first time on the film set.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. So is that when you learned more about directing and producing? Because I know you have a lot of credits with different episodes of television and different short films that you've produced. Is that where you kind of learned all that stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of happened around. The directing and producing happened because I had an internship at this post house called Liberty Studios, and so we did all of the like Wu-Tang Clan videos. I was a young teenager hanging out with the Wu-Tang Clan and editing music videos. Protect Your Neck, Mystery of Chess Boxing. We did Ill and Out Scratch. And like I said, I sat there. Was like I forget their names. I hate that I forget their names, but they took me under their wing, and I just had to clean up the studio every weekend. And in exchange, they'll teach me about filming and bring me on set, and I would just a PA. And then I started learning how to edit. Started learning how to shoot, and so that's where I learned all of that. So I was excited to get on the film set years year years later and see how it was done, like on a film. And so I was just kind of just taking everything in, and just it was a different process with film versus music videos. It was a whole different thing. But it did help me. It did educate me and give me a lot to which is why I'm still doing it today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
awesome.
Do you have a question?
No, you can go ahead.
Something, this is more personal to me. I was wondering, coming from someone who wants to get into acting, loves acting and all that, do you have any tips for anyone like aspiring actors around, anyone who's listening to the show or anyone just in general?
Find a way to keep doing it. Find a way to keep doing it. And right now, there's the advantage of also creating your own content. I go, wow, sometimes instead of waiting for that opportunity, for that audition, you can also create your own opportunity. Whether it's streaming on. There's so many streaming platforms you can put it on independently. Even if it's on your cell phone, find a way to keep doing it. Find a way. And there's so many people filming and just build up your experience. But I think the minute you stop, that's when you're in trouble. It's when you stop doing it. Always find a way to keep working at it. That's what I did. I don't care whether it was a student film, indie film. I got a bunch of films that never even came out. I got sketches that's never seen the light of day, but I've learned something from working on those sketches. I learned something from working on those movies that are just sitting on hard drives to this day. But I was like, I just have to find some way to keep doing it. It builds your confidence, it builds your comfort, and more importantly, it builds your experience. No matter whether it's a multi-million-dollar film or whether it's $1.50, it still adds to your experience.
Yeah, yeah. Is it a different experience when you like act in as well as produce something? Because I know you've done that a few times. Doing both.
Yeah, you know what? I remember when I first started, I was like, I don't want to be in anything I direct and produce. And I mean, I don't. I didn't want to act in it. I didn't want to multitask like that. My opinion changed now, just because it's honoring the people you work with and accepting support. And that was the part where I think when I first started, I was running gun kind of by myself. So I was like, how am I going to act and direct? I'd rather just work focus on one thing. Once I started trusting people and having people around me where it's just like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I can also do that. And I got people who have my back on the vision that I'm trying to do directing. So now I'm okay doing both. But when I first started, I was not against, I was totally against it. But I think what helps it is trusting the people around you, surrounding yourself with people that you trust and that who's going to have your back. And then, and you don't have to multitask some part, everything. I'm like, you don't got to multitask. Find somebody who wants to do it, wants to help.
Yeah. And then, of course, I talked about in the beginning of the episode, we talked about Reacher. How did Reacher come about, and how is that different from anything you'd worked on before? Because it's such a big budget action television series.
Right. I tell you, the main difference with Reacher was the fact that it was my first time getting all 8 episodes and knowing exactly what's going to happen before we started rolling, before rehearsals. Usually on TV shows, you don't know what's happening week to week. Everyone's figuring it out week to week. You may know like a roughly exactly where the character's going to go here, but you don't know how. But on Reacher, I had all 8 scripts. I knew exactly what was going to happen. So you get to develop the character and play an entire arc. It felt like a film. Obviously a film, you get the entire thing. TV, generally doesn't work like that all the time, especially network TV. You just don't know the entire. They're not saying here's 24 scripts or here's 12 scripts.
Yeah. Right.
So that was my first time experiencing that. The way it came about was Nick Santora, the showrunner of the show. I worked with him. This was our fifth project together. He gave me my first opportunity on the show called Breakout Kings. Him and another showrunner, Matt Olmstead, and we just became friends. And he just became like just a big champion for me, not only as an artist but as a person. And he did tell me that there's maybe a potential role for you in Reacher, and this was something I think in 2018, 2019. And iZombie was still going on. iZombie wasn't canceled at that point. It was like, if I'm available, man, I would love to come in for an audition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it happened. 2021 happened. I went to the audition, and did a Zoom test, and then the rest is history, and booked it. And we shot that during the pandemic in Toronto, so it was very insulated experience. So we had no idea what the reaction was going to be, and wow, when it came out, my goodness, we were all we was all happy for it, but we didn't know. I'll speak for myself. I didn't know. So I was happy to be a part of it. I was like, wow. So yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned doing a Zoom test for it. What was that like? Doing an audition online versus in person?
The Zoom, I feel like with the Zoom, it's hard. You have to it's a little tricky because you have to manufacture a connectivity via Zoom, and that is it's easier in person. It's always going to be easier in person because I get to see the person, feel the energy in the room, and have that connection. With Zoom, you have to try to manufacture that. That adds a little bit of an additional challenge.
Okay.
But you roll with the punches. It was my first time doing it. I had to find that, trying to find some. Is he like, where do I look in the camera? Do I look here? Do I look off camera? Where? And I got my business partner. He's sitting there. I think I was like, just in case I forget this, they like this speech or something. Just have the lines right there, just in case on this eye line. And he's sitting there, he's shaking. I remember him holding that iPad. Trembling because we couldn't get the tripod in the position where it needed, and they're like, Malcolm, put the computer up, tilt it like this, and I'm like, I'm like, I don't got a tripod, so I gotta get books and stuff. So behind the scenes, it's just a bunch of books stacked up with the iPad tilted, and then with the computer, the laptop, and then my business partner sitting there holding this iPad just in case something. Sweating, holding this. He's a big guy, and he's just sitting there sweating, holding it just in case I need to grab a line that I may forget. But it was fun. We laughed about it afterwards, and obviously it worked. Obviously it worked out, but it was that was a brand new experience for me. I had never done that. I do it all the time now, but that was Reacher was the first. Since the pandemic, I don't think anyone's been in rooms. Yeah. Everything is done via Zoom now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing the Zooms. The Zooms sound horrible.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, like Zoom, even like I think Zoom table reads are tough. You're trying to because everyone's muted. So like, say for example, you read it for a comedy, and so we're all in a room together. We're all laughing. We're laughing at jokes. You get an instant response. On Zoom, everybody's muted. So you're sitting there like you don't even know if the joke landed. It's just like you say your joke, and it's dead silence. So
the most awkward part's leaving too. Like even doing like Zoom school, class ends, you can talk to your buddies, whatever. Zoom ends, you're just like, oh, the room's silent now. What?
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. And everybody, and also everybody's muted, so it's not all this overlap or feedback coming from someone's thing. So I think it does it does hurt the connectivity, but it's better than nothing. I'm happy that we're back. The strike's over. We're working and making it work by any means necessary. So no complaints. I'm just happy it's not shut down.
Well, I don't know if you can answer. This is like a 2-part question. I got.
Okay.
First off, my dad's a massive fan of yours and kind of fangirled when I was like, "Oh, we're doing the episode." So this is a question. This is a question from him. He wanted to know Is there a chance we see Finley in Reacher season 3?
Listen, if it was my decision, there's 27 Reacher books, you would see Finley in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 27. But I think staying true to what, he's a loner. These are all solo missions, solo journeys. And so I love the fact that they're staying true to that story that Lee Child created.
Right.
Dang it.
Yeah. So,
Maybe.
But I tell you what, when people ask me that about season 2, I would tell people, because there was a bunch of people like, Malcolm lied. He said he wasn't in season 2. I said, no. I said that Oscar Finley wasn't in that book. I'm like, Oscar Finley isn't in that book, which is the truth. But I didn't say he wasn't in the TV show, just the book. Yeah.
So maybe that's what I'm hearing.
No. Hey, we'll see. Hey, I tell you what, I wouldn't say no if the call came.
That makes me feel better. And then the part 2 to this question again comes back to reprising. So in the Mike Flanagan universe, they deserve a Netflix. He loves to bring back actors to play different characters. If given the opportunity, or if you already have signed on to do something else, would you go back and do another Mike Flanagan series or movie?
1,000%. Yeah, it's a very unique experience, man, in terms of the amount of time you're given to prepare for the characters, and also, it's one of those things in terms of also going on set. You know exactly what's going to happen that day. There's no guessing in that, or no random surprises. You're set up to succeed. I feel like everybody in all the departments are set up to succeed because you know exactly what we're trying to accomplish that day. And yeah, that was just incredible. I know how many shots. I know what the angle is going to be. We know what everything is going to be before we show up the next day. And that was a very, very unique experience for me. I was like, this is great. That's why I felt like almost, I don't know, I always say it felt theatrical. I just felt locked in. Everybody's locked in, like just locked in. And that was infectious. So absolutely, 1,000 times. I would love to feel that again, over and over again. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We need to make this happen. We need to sign like a petition or something to get you in Reacher season 3, another project Mike Flanagan. We need to make all this happen.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Is there any other kind of director or writer you'd love to work with?
Yeah, there's a lot, man. There's quite a few. I think the answer will always change depending on the day, but yeah, right now there's something I'm right. Antoine Fuqua, would love to work with him. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of. Scorsese's always going to be on the list. I'm a big Scorsese fan. Steven Spielberg. The two directors I grew up in Brooklyn, and so the directors I grew up before I even knew I was going to be wanted to be an actor or any involved in film in any way was always Spike Lee and Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg because of E.T. E.T. was my joint. I loved E.T. I was a kid. I loved it. I was like, and I didn't know what a director was, but I'll tell you, little elementary school me knew who Steven Spielberg was. I knew Steven Spielberg and Spike Lee. I worked with Spike Lee on a movie called Miracle at St. Anna, so that's checked on my bucket list. So, and it was Steven Spielberg because of E.T.
Hey,
yeah, but there's so many, right? Tarantino. I mean, come on, man. There's so many directors around I would love to work with.
All right, so
Ava DuVernay, let's go. So,
yeah, it's a never-ending list.
Just keep shouting them out.
It keeps going.
Maybe one of those directors will watch this episode and be like, "Oh, let's reach out."
That's right.
So we just have a few more questions before we get into the gangster mobster list. I don't want anyone that's listening to correct me.
I got you.
One question that I want to ask, again, kind of coming back to reuniting with someone. In the span of 2 years, you worked with Willa Fitzgerald on both Reacher and The Fall of House of Usher. Was there any coincidence? Was that just a coincidence that you guys both got it, or was there something that you guys like talked about with Mike Flanagan, or was this just by utter coincidence?
Dude, straight up coincidence. A straight up coincidence. Like because I knew about the show because Raul, like I said, he's the one who recommended me and got me on the shortlist for it. And I didn't even know Willa was going out for it. It wasn't until it was announced, like in the trades, and I was just like, I hit Willa up like, "Yo, I'm doing it too." She was like, "You are?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in the show too." And so, but that was pure coincidence. And Willa is a monster. She just put her foot in that role and just killed it. She is so good, dude. She is so good. It was just amazing to watch her work as Roscoe, then play this completely different energy, completely different character on For the House of Usher. And we always say when someone's cooking and just crushing it, we're like, she is in her bag. just doing it. So it was great, man. It was great. Yeah. So pure coincidence. Pure coincidence.
Yeah. So you mentioned Willa being great and watching her work is fantastic, but I gotta ask, is there anybody cooler to watch work than Denzel Washington?
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I sat there like I just took notes. Like watching him, I feel like, and also with the combo of Russell Crowe. Was because I feel like I worked more with Russell Crowe during that entire shoot. I mean, when I did American Gangster, I was supposed to be in one scene. I moved to LA, and then I gave myself 6 months to make it before I go to get something before moving back to New York. And then on month 4 in LA, I get American Gangster. So I got to move back to New York. I got to go back to New York because it's a local hire. So I got to bring myself. I'm like, I'll fly myself back. I don't care. I still got my room in Yonkers. I still keep my room in Yonkers there just in case. And I'll come in for this one day, which was essentially the piano scene. And then I get on set. And I'm thinking that we're doing the piano scene. They're like, no, they're gonna do something else. Really wants to use you for something else. I'm like, okay, cool. And I remember sitting around all day long. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was there to do. And then I get there, and he gives me all this love, about my audition tape. When I did my audition tape, it was literally just shooting the guy for touching my girl's butt, and then I get slammed into this glass table, and that was the scene. I decided to do a monologue about what happened, what he said to get himself in that situation. So I improv. Literally, the audition scene is maybe a 2/8 of a page. I did an entire improv scene that led into the thing, and it stood out. And I remember this saying, "You're one of 50, you're one of 40, you're one of 30, you're one of 20, one of 10. Holy crap, you're one of 5. So you're it." And I took a chance, and that's another advice I would give with actors too. Take a chance, take a risk. If you got some ideas, sometimes you got to take a risk, because I think if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have gotten that role. If I would have just done that 2/8 of a page, it would have just looked like everyone else's auditions. But I had just had this idea, like, why not? If they don't like it, they could just turn it off. I'm just gonna go for it. And I did that, and he talked to me. He was like, "I love that. I was eating my breakfast in London, and I saw you doing all this." I said, "Holy, I want this guy." And he said, he was like, "We need a snitch in the movie. So we're going to make your character the snitch." I didn't know this was going to be the thing. I had no idea going into the set. I thought I'm just going to get thrown into this glass table and that's it. So literally one day, I was originally supposed to be on for one day, and that turned to 3 months on American Gangster. And it was just a master class. But what I learned from Denzel and Russell Crowe was just how prepared they were. They got $100 million movie on their back. It felt like it. How inclusive they were with the cast and crew in terms of making sure everybody is a part of making each scene the best it can be, and finding the moments, not letting any moment slide. I remember when there's this when I'm being interrogated, I had lines in that scene, but it felt weird to say the lines. Like it did, I was like, I don't know. And Russell came through, puts on his glasses, he'll sit down, and he's like, "Okay, cool. Would you say this?" And I'm like, I don't know if he said, "I don't think you'll say that either. Cut." Would you say? He just went through this entire thing, and let's cut that. I'm like, would you say this? I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like he was like, yeah, I don't think you'll say it either. Let's cut that too. So we sat there, and then he's like, okay, cool. He said, all right, hey guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a hallelujah, and I didn't know what a hallelujah was, and they was like, okay, yeah, we do a hallelujah, and I'm like, what's that? What are y'all talking about? I'm like, I'm learning a new code. I'm learning some kind of code here. What is that? And then what it turned into was he was like, hey Jimmy, you effed up, Jimmy. You know you messed up, right? And then everybody, you messed up, Jimmy. You messed up, Jimmy. You messed up. You messed up. You messed up. You messed up. We're gonna. But it was pretty much the hallelujah was them echoing things that he said,
Yeah.
and how they just all just did that naturally as a group in order to put the pressure on Jimmy to actually rat on Frank.
Mhm.
So that flexibility within scenes and enhancing moments and bringing them to life is what I learned from them. But it was especially like that scene. I always remember Russell Crowe just making that scene into what it is. And also Ridley just being like, I love it. Let's do this. And just adapting to it. Even the scene when Denzel throws me into the piano, like I said, it was supposed to be a glass table. The piano happened because I fell into the piano by mistake. I missed the glass table. And Denzel came to me. He was like, imagine I do this. Bang, 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 bang. And then Ridley goes, let's do that instead. So it was just learning flexibility. We don't need the table. Get the table out of there. We're going to have him throw his head in the piano, and we're going to have it smashed. But that came out of working the scene out.
And I think the piano shows just how aggressive Frank Lucas is. So I love that whole sequence of him just he's so calm when he's around like his mom, his wife, and then all of a sudden just snaps in that one scene. It's just smash, 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 smash. So I love that scene.
Oh yeah, he was a savage.
And then the last question, I don't know how often you get asked about this. This is the last question before we move into the mob stuff. How was it to work on the LMFAO music video?
Dope. Yeah. It'll get in your bones, man. Yeah, that was dope. That was like one of the best yeses I've ever given in my life. Who knew that movie? I didn't know. I was doing Breakout Kings. I get a call from my boy Cameron Fife, and I'm the director of that music video. His name is Mike Finnegan, Mikey. So, long story short, he was like, yeah, we just got this cameo, just got to show up and do some improv, LMFAO. And I knew him from like Shot, that song.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like, yeah, I'll come through, I'll fly in tomorrow. I'll come in. They was like, bring a suit. And I remember flying in, I didn't have a suit. And I had just got this, the place I was staying in wasn't ready. So I didn't have like my clothing. I didn't have anything. So I was staying at my little brother's house. And he's smaller than me. So if you watch that video, them some tight pants. My ankles are showing. I'm like ankles a little ashy. Because there was no lotion on set. I put together this makeshift suit situation. It's all tight. It's my little brother's clothing, and we go up in there and we improv for go on set for maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half the most, and then I leave, and then 3-4 months later, this is the biggest song on the planet. It's everywhere. And they play that video like in these huge stadiums. People like, yo, that's the biggest screen I've ever seen. I'm getting videos from people, at the concerts and stuff. And what a ride that was. I'm like, I had no idea. I went there and just improv, like they were like, Mickey, like, just improv. So we just improv that entire thing. And I had no idea. And yeah, it's like 2.5 billion views on YouTube to date, something like that. But yeah, that was, like I said, sometimes you just say yes. I would just, even though I was coming off a TV show and wrapped the entire season, I was like, I'll do it. Yes. Just still wanted to find a way to stay working, and had no idea that was going to come from it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that music video. So
yeah. Right. I hadn't even heard the song, and I was in there like, what? I'm like, I never, so, but yeah, Red Foo, Scott Fu, all those guys, everybody was super cool.
Cool. Awesome. And then now we're moving on from the question segment of this episode, everyone, and we're going to be ranking our top 5 favorite mob films, and we'll work our way down from 5 to 1. And of course, we're going to have Malcolm start us off with the guest starting with his number 5.
Oh, I gotta put them in order like that. Oh no! Oh no, man! Okay. All right, number 5 for me. Okay, on this given day, because I'm like, I'll just put the cat. It can change tomorrow, but on this given day with you guys, I'm gonna say New Jack City.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I think my number 5. I know it's a classic, but I got to put it number 5. It's gonna be Goodfellas. It's one of the best. And it's a great movie, but
5.
it's not my. It's not in my. It's not one of my favorites.
I can't wait to hear your top 4. Gotcha.
Yeah, what is above Goodfellas? The hell? Okay, I can't even say that. My number 5 is not much better. My number 5 is The Godfather Part 2.
So never seen The Godfather. I know it's a crime.
What?
Never seen Godfather 1 or 2.
Malcolm.
I know. My wife is the biggest Godfather fan, and this is a constant thing. So I'm like, there's gonna be one time like she has no idea. There's gonna be one day I surprise her, maybe on our 20th anniversary or something, where I'm like, we're gonna watch The Godfather, and she's gonna be like, yes. But So obviously, it's not on my list. It's not on my top 5. Never seen it.
Malcolm, what's your number 4?
It's number 4. I'm gonna say Road to Perdition.
I said that to my dad, and he's like, "That's a horrible choice." So I took it off my list. I was so embarrassed.
I put it on there. I said, "I want the controversy. I'll take it." I like that. It's a controversial selection, but I'm sticking with it on this particular day. Road to Sam Mendes, Road to Perdition. The filmmaking of that storytelling is just unbelievable.
Daniel Craig is so damn scary in that movie.
So scary in that. Absolutely, man.
Yeah. All right, my number 4. It's kind of cheating, kind of a reverse my movie. I'm going with Old Boy. One of the best movies. Such a great foreign film. One of the best action movies. It's kind of reverse because he's hunting down the gangsters, but I had to put it in there. It's such a good one. The action is fantastic. So that's my number 4.
Right. I like it. I like that one. I like that.
Mine's so generic. My number 4 is The Godfather Part 1. I like it more than Part 2, which most people don't, but I think Part 1's the better movie. But yeah, so
right.
Damn, mine's so generic. You guys went all the God damn it. Malcolm, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is gonna be City of God.
Damn.
And the thing is, I was like, is that a gangster movie? But then you look up gangster movies and City of God comes up. And I was like, really? I love City of God. The filmmaking, the storytelling of that dude, it felt real to me. It almost felt like I was watching a documentary. And the stories of a lot of those actors in there they're real kids. Yeah. And just to be immersed in that life in Brazil, holy moly. So that would be my number 3.
It has some of the best cinematography of the 21st century.
100%. Some of the best transitions, match cuts, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, damn. It's funny because we were just talking about that movie before because we were just looking at other lists and it's always like top 5, top 10. And I was like, I've never seen that movie. And Tommy was like, what?
What? Whoa, man.
I gotta watch it. It's been on my list for a while.
Okay, Malcolm, you can't say anything. You haven't seen The Godfather. I want to hear from your side of things.
You're guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
All right, my number 3 is, I'm not just trying to make you feel good, but it's American Gangster.
Okay, let's go.
Just one of the best.
Let's go.
And talking to you only made it better, so I got to put it on here.
I love it. I was going to put that as my number 3, then I'm like, is it? I can't put that on my list. Can I? I don't know. Can I? I don't know.
You could have put out your number 3.
We got 2 more.
It's my number 3 as well.
I like it. I love it. That's awesome.
I mean, I think it's just, I feel like at one point it was every teenager's favorite movie because it's just such a cool, Frank Lucas, he's a bad dude, but you're like, he's cool though. Let's like, I want to root for him. And then Russell Crowe's story is so intriguing. And then you just come walking out and shoot the girl. And I was like, what the hell happened? It's just all these great scenes that are like, and of course my dad was undercover for a long time. So we were talking about when you put the mic on and it's just this massive answering machine.
It's a VCR. Right, you're right. It's an answering machine. It's huge.
And my dad was like, and now it's just this thing you can put in your phone. And it looks like it's off. It's crazy how much
it's crazy. That's right.
And just that whole story, I think, is just a great story. And the fact that he only stayed in prison for 15 years is absolutely insane.
I know. Yeah. I'm doing a rewatch. I've only watched American Gangster one time.
Oh my God, it's so good.
And that's when it first came out. And it was one of those things that, like, filming on it, you just know so much behind the scenes. So it's one of those things. I think right now I'm so many years removed from it. We're talking about almost 20 years removed from it. So I think I could finally enjoy it, from a fan perspective.
Yeah.
Being removed from it. Right.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite Ridley Scott film. And Ridley Scott's filmography is incredible. And mob films are just the best. And it's such a great cast. It's so well written. Yeah. So that's why it's my number 3.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it above the other two.
I love it. I am not mad about that.
Okay. What is your number 2, Malcolm?
Hello.
Right. Number 2.
We got a freeze.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Okay, cool.
What is your number 2?
Number 2 is Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Goodfellas. Goodfellas is number 2, man. I think it just is, again, masterful storytelling. The way I remember that shot of Scorsese introducing all the mobsters in that one shot going through that club was like, oh my, it was just brilliant. Joe Pesci's performance, he got the Academy Award for it, but I just think that's a masterclass in storytelling. It's a masterclass in filmmaking. Number 2.
Yeah, it's a great choice. So my number 2 is going to be Reservoir Dogs.
Oh,
so good.
That's a great one.
It's one of my favorite movies ever. I always say this. I don't know if it's my favorite Tarantino movie, but every time I think of it, I'm like, God, it's just so good. And the fact that it was his first movie, I'm like, God, it's just so impressive how good it was.
You're just so right, man. Because that could literally be my number 1, 2 on any given day. That's a great choice. Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
I kind of want to flip mine.
You can do whatever.
I think I'm gonna flip it. So I'm gonna flip my 1 and 2 just because my now number 1 is my favorite movie of all time, and I'm gonna say Goodfellas is number 2. It's what I consider a perfect movie, and there's as close to a perfect movie because I don't believe that there is a perfect movie, but it's like a 9.999 and on.
Right, sure.
It's probably the movie that made me really want to get into filmmaking. Besides The Amazing Spider-Man, but besides that, it's just an incredible movie. Every single performance is so good. Ray Liotta is incredible, and of course, Joe Pesci gives a top 10 performance of all time in that movie. And Martin Scorsese's mom is amazing.
Absolutely, that's right.
But yeah, it's one of the best movies of all time. I feel like that's a consensus across the board. But yeah, so that's my number 2. Malcolm, what is your number 1 as of today favorite mob movie?
It may be this is my number 1. I think on any given day, every day. Scarface.
Oh,
great.
Okay, that's a good
Scarface.
Choice.
Brian De Palma, Scarface, Al Pacino, F. Murray Abraham. Come on, man. It's just this. It's so epic. It's so grand. He has these dreams. You got a young Michelle Pfeiffer up in there too. Unbelievable. For me, that's like a perfect. I always say perfection. People say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I go perfectionist. We could all, we all have different. It's hard to find 2 people who may think something is perfect, but you can find 2 people who think things are beautiful. Oh, that is beautiful. Perfect, like 100%. For me, it was Scarface.
Oh yeah,
it's a great choice.
Right.
So my number 1 is going to be. I had to get a Scorsese movie on. I know Goodfellas at 5. I get it.
Did you pick the same one as me?
It's going to be The Departed at number 1.
Oh man, that's
The Departed. It's my favorite Oh, it's so good.
It really is. It is. I can't be mad at that.
Everything about that movie is just so good. I love the setting in Boston. All the twists and turns at the end. The elevator
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
You're like, what happened? Oh my god!
I know.
So
Amazing.
good.
Amazing.
What's your number one, Tom?
Shut up. My number one's also The Departed. It is my all-time favorite movie. There's nothing even compared to it. And I think I got my dad in trouble. I got my dad in trouble before for saying when he let me watch this movie. I was like 10 when I watched this for the first time.
Right.
Since then, I used to go into school and be like, what's your favorite movie? I'd be like, The Princess Bride, Lion King, The Departed. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I adore this movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite actor of all time. Jack Nicholson is psychotic in the best way possible in this movie.
Yeah.
Matt Damon's so hateable. Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg have one of the funniest scenes.
Oh, yeah.
It's an incredible movie. Martin Scorsese at his peak, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
that's a great
That's everyone's top 5 mob films of all time. And should we do recommendations of the week? So before we go, we are going to do a thing we normally do on our episodes, Malcolm, and that is recommendation of the week, where we each recommend a show, movie, or something to our audience. And yeah, Ryan forgets about it every single week. I do. So we're going to see if he actually remembered one this week.
A recommendation.
But yeah, I think for mine,
Okay, good.
Did we lose you there for a second, Malcolm?
Oh, no, I hear you guys.
Oh, there we go. We got you back. You froze up for a second.
Oh, okay.
Oh, can you hear us, Malcolm?
Yeah, you guys aren't freezing on my end.
Are you good? We can all hear each other now? There was a weird lag for a little bit. Oh, no, we lost him again.
There we go.
It's just... Okay, we had some technical difficulties right there, but we're back now to do our recommendations of the week. As I said, we pick a show, movie to recommend to our audience. And since you're the guest, we'll let you go first, Malcolm. Yeah. All right, that's a good pick.
That's good. That's a great one.
Do you want to go?
So I'm going to recommend one that just narrowly missed my list, and it's another foreign film. It's The Raid. I believe it's called The Raid Redemption, but it's such a good movie. Again, I said Old Boy is one of the best action movies. The Raid is even better. The action, the fighting, it's so good. So just narrowly missed my list, but definitely recommend that one.
I'm going to recommend. Damn, I kind of forgot now. I'm going to recommend something more lighthearted. We were just talking about some really violent and gruesome mob movies. I'm going to recommend Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Just a fun movie.
Yeah, there we go.
It's peak, coming of age comedy. I absolutely love that movie. So yeah, I don't remember what streaming service it's on. I believe it's on Max currently. But yeah. And besides that, Malcolm, we just wanted to thank you for coming on the show. It was such a great time. I had a blast getting to talk to you, asking you about some of my favorite series, getting to talk to you about acting and just your whole career in general. Thank you. Thanks. We try our best. But yeah, everyone who's listening, make sure to continue downloading our episodes, sharing our episodes, follow us on all of our Instagrams. Malcolm, do you want to plug your Instagram or anything you have coming up?
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Do you want to at yourself this time?
It's Ferran_12 is my Instagram. Follow me. I'm killing it.
Hasn't posted in 2 years. I'm killing the game. You can follow me at Tommy_Cresta, and the show is the_Popcorn_podcast. Yeah. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in this episode. Malcolm, thank you again for being just a great guest for Ryan and I to have on, and we just had a blast getting to talk to you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode. Go watch Reacher Season 1, Fall of the House of Usher, I, Zombie, American Gangster, Color of Justice, just anything that Malcolm's in. He absolutely kills it. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will see you next week.